How's it going, guys? My name is Luis, and this is a new top 10 video. I haven't made one of these in a while. It was a prominent series in the early days of my channel, and it's one of the most requested series that I've been getting on Twitter lately and on my Discord. So I thought, why not come back to it? I even made a playlist for all the old episodes that are really old. But if you want to watch them, you can check them out in the description down below, or you can find the link on my channel as well. But I want to come back to this. I'm going to be doing more episodes like this, and if you have any recommendations for episodes you want to see, let me know in the comments down below and let's get a conversation going. This video is on some recommendations for the Nintendo Switch, 10 games I highly recommend that I have played. Keep in mind these are all based on games I've played. There are some games I haven't played, so if you have your own recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below. Let's get started. Celeste was a game that really surprised me with how much I loved it. I remember playing this game before launch and not being able to tell my friends just how much deeper it was than just a challenging platformer. It had great music, charming visuals, and most surprisingly, a pretty honest, heartwarming story that cut deeper than I ever imagined it would. In terms of content, there was a handful of extra bonus levels that somehow managed to make the already challenging gameplay even more of a tough time to play through. Having this experience not only on the TV but on the go as well solidified it not as just a great game but a must-have for the Nintendo Switch. The developer behind Celeste, Matt Makes Games, is actually bringing his multiplayer game Towerfall to the Nintendo Switch this coming week, and if anything it shows that he knows how to make not only great multiplayer games but really solid single player games too. I think this next game went under the radar for a lot of gamers. Having gotten more into music-based reaction games like Thumper, Luminous, and Tetris Effect, god damn I can't wait for Tetris Effect, I was really happy to jump into Just Shapes and Beats. It's a game that literally has you controlling a little speck of pixels while avoiding all the dangerous pink-colored obstacles around you. It sort of reminds me of Sound Shapes on PlayStation platforms, so you could consider this as a spiritual successor of sorts. The controls are simple, but this game can get quite challenging, but the super catchy music synced to every level makes it an enjoyable time regardless. This is completely a game you can beat in a matter of hours, but even then, it's a fantastic game, and if you love Sound Shapes on PlayStation Vita, PS4, PS3, you're gonna love this game. Splatoon 2 is what I'd call Nintendo's attempt at games as a service. This was released back in mid-2017, and even a year later, the game is still seeing frequent new content and updates. Splatoon 2 was a solid fun shooter at launch with a decent campaign mode that sort of showed you the ropes around the gameplay mechanics. Transform between a squid and a kid as you try to cover as much of the turf war map with your team's colored ink. It's a chaotic but fun time with plenty of strategy and team coordination involved. There's also plenty of customization options that make your Inkling character your own. Since its initial launch, Nintendo has released a super tough challenging single player campaign expansion and new maps to play against people online. Even at a year old, Splatoon 2 has plenty of life inside of it. Super Mario Odyssey was simply a joy to play when it came out. Once again, Mario finds himself needing to rescue Princess Peach from the clutches of the evil Bowser. This time his journey has him traveling across multiple kingdoms equipped with his friend Cappy that lets Mario capture all sorts of different creatures. From Goombas to a giant T-Rex, you'll play as Mario like never before in what's been my favorite Mario game since the adventurous Super Mario Galaxy that completely captivated me as a kid. Seeing Mario in wacky outfits from cool Easter eggs from the past to just completely new outfits, Odyssey is a game that completely warmed my heart the entire time I was playing. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, what can I say about this game that I haven't already said, or any other video game critic for that matter? This game not only reinvented the Legend of Zelda series, but for many, it reinvigorated it. It catapulted the Nintendo Switch by helping launch the system with a stellar open world game that redefined the genre. The world wasn't just big, it was built smart. When it rains and the sun comes up, you can quite literally see puddles of water evaporate. That sense of clever interaction and design is weaved into every gameplay mechanic. The shrine system added fun and challenging puzzles to the world, while the intricate inventory system encouraged exploration. Sure, the story could have had a bit more story, but ultimately the experience still blew me out of the water and showed me the scope of what the Switch was capable of. Combine the charm of Earthbound with a quirky fun golf simulator and you get Golf Story. Presented like a long-lost RPG of the past, Golf Story tells you a happy story filled with lovable characters and hilarious dialogue that keeps you with a grin on your face the entire time. Gameplay has you exploring sandbox areas as if you're playing an old RPG, but for some reason has a golf-centric theme in mind. I don't even play golf in real life, or golf games in general for that matter, but this game still managed to entertain me with its odd combination of genres, and I loved it. If you've ever wanted a real sequel to the critically acclaimed Mario Golf game, then this is the game you've been looking for. Mario Kart 8 was an absolute joy on the Wii U, and it continues to be on the Switch. This Switch port got improvements across the board with all the added DLC from the Wii U, including some extra bonus content exclusively to the Switch. Despite now being on a portable, it somehow still runs better at a full 1080p output in dock mode and a crisp 720p in handheld mode. The best part of this port is a newly redone battle mode that actually brings back the traditional gameplay of battle mode rather than the excuse for one in the Wii U version. This is by far the current pivotal version of Mario Kart and a must-have for Nintendo Switch. This game originally came out on the Wii U, and though it didn't get a major new addition in terms of new content, simply just having this adventure on the go with a bumped up 1080p resolution in dock mode was a great upgrade. Tropical Freeze is a marvelous example of well-designed platforming that mimics the challenge of retro platformers while still feeling completely fair in terms of game mechanics. The new funky mode makes the game more accessible to newcomers of the series while increasing the funk tenfold. While the recent 2D Mario games haven't been as stellar as I'd hope in recent years, the Donkey Kong series on the other hand has just been nailing it with modern entries in the series. Plenty of collectibles to find and challenges to face with a great presentation. Okami HD has been released on pretty much every modern platform so far, and despite there being a 4K 30 version on PS4 and Xbox One, I think the Nintendo Switch version is a viable contender for the best version of the game. For the first time, you can actually play this legend of a 3D platformer on the go in a solid 720p presentation on the go and 1080p in dock mode. Okami was unique for its world setting and interesting gameplay mechanic that had you drawing out symbols to activate powers within the game. These powers would then be used in both combat and puzzles throughout the world that had you essentially play as a god. With the Nintendo Switch's touchscreen, the celestial brush powers have never felt more integrated than when the game came out on the Wii. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was the perfect bookend to the first year of releases for the Nintendo Switch. Explore a giant open world that sits upon large-scale titan creatures that feel like planets of their own. You play as Rex, a boy who embarks on a 70+ hour journey when he comes across Pyra, a sentient blade weapon that's being sought after people trying to use their powers to take over the world. As you try to reach Elysium, the supposed sanctuary at the top of the world tree, you'll have to fight off enemies who are after Pyra, who also peel back the mystery behind her. It's a well-written story all inside an incredibly dense JRPG package, and despite having 2 in the name, you can really start this game as your first entry in the series. I actually just reviewed the hefty DLC expansion that came out for it this month. If you want to check it out, I'll have a link in the description down below. Those are my current top 10 recommendations for Nintendo Switch owners, and as always, if you have your own recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. It helps more people find out about my videos, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching, and keep on gaming.